The morning sun cast long shadows across the wheat fields of New Haven Colony as Sarah Chen stepped out of her farmhouse. She breathed in the crisp air of Kepler 442b, a planet humanity had claimed as their new home just 3 years ago. The settlement housed 12,000 souls who had traveled 47 light-years to escape the overcrowded Earth and build something beautiful. Sarah was the colony administrator, elected by the settlers themselves. At 35, she had left behind a promising career in planetary engineering to lead this group of farmers, scientists, teachers, and dreamers. They had chosen this world carefully. It orbited a stable star, had breathable air, fertile soil, and, most importantly, showed no signs of intelligent life. The settlers had worked tirelessly to build their community. They constructed homes from local materials, established farms that now fed the entire population, and built schools where children learned both human knowledge and how to live in harmony with their new world. The colony had achieved complete self-sufficiency just 6 months ago, a milestone they celebrated with a festival that lasted 3 days. Sarah walked through the main street, greeting neighbors as they began their daily routines. Mrs. Patterson was opening her bakery, filling the air with the smell of fresh bread. Dr. Kim was heading to the medical center, carrying his worn leather bag that had traveled with him from Earth. Children ran past, laughing as they chased each other to school. The communication array at the settlement's edge hummed quietly, maintaining contact with Earth and the other human colonies scattered across nearby star systems. Every week, Sarah sent progress reports back to the colonial administration. Every month, they received news from home and updates from other settlements. The galaxy felt large, but humanity was slowly making it smaller. As Sarah reached the colony's central plaza, she noticed something unusual in the sky. 3 dark shapes moved against the morning clouds, too large and too fast to be the local bird-like creatures. She shielded her eyes with her hand, trying to get a better look. The shapes grew larger, revealing themselves to be angular vessels of unknown design. They moved with purpose, descending toward the settlement in a triangular formation. Sarah felt her stomach drop. In 3 years, they had encountered nothing more dangerous than the local wildlife. These ships were clearly artificial, clearly intelligent, and clearly not human. She pulled out her emergency communicator and activated the colony-wide alert system. A low tone echoed across New Haven, the signal for all residents to report to their designated emergency positions. Sarah ran toward the communications center, her mind racing through the protocols they had practiced but never expected to use. The ships landed in the fields just outside the settlement's perimeter. They were massive, each one roughly the size of a city block, with smooth metallic surfaces that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. No markings, no visible weapons, no indication of their purpose or origin. Sarah reached the communication center as Tom Rodriguez, their head of security, arrived with his small team of volunteer peacekeepers. Tom had served in Earth's military before joining the colony, and his face carried the grim expression of someone who recognized a threat. "Any response to our standard greeting signals?" Sarah asked the communications officer. "Nothing. They're not responding to any frequency we've tried. No acknowledgement of our presence at all." The alien ships remained silent for nearly an hour while the colonists watched from a safe distance. Children had been moved to the school's reinforced basement. The elderly and sick were gathered in the medical center. Everyone else waited, hoping these visitors came in peace. Then, the ships opened. Tall figures emerged, standing nearly 8 feet in height with elongated limbs and heads that seemed too large for their bodies. They wore form-fitting suits of the same light-absorbing material as their ships. Their movements were precise, coordinated, like dancers performing a rehearsed routine. Sarah made the decision that would define her legacy. She walked out of the settlement, hands raised in the universal gesture of peace, with Tom and 2 other volunteers following close behind. They approached the aliens slowly, stopping about 50 meters away. "I am Sarah Chen, administrator of New Haven Colony," she called out. "We come in peace and welcome you to our world." The aliens stopped their activities and turned toward her in unison. For a moment that felt like an eternity, the 2 species faced each other across the alien landscape of Kepler 442b. Then, one of the aliens raised what appeared to be a weapon. The energy blast hit Sarah in the chest, throwing her backward onto the rocky ground. Tom shouted her name and ran toward her, but more blasts followed. The 2 volunteers fell beside her, their lives ending in flashes of blue light. Tom dropped behind a boulder, his military training taking over. He activated his emergency beacon, broadcasting a desperate message back toward human space. New Haven colony under attack. Unknown hostile alien force. Require immediate assistance. The aliens moved toward the settlement with terrifying efficiency. They had not come to communicate or negotiate. They had come to destroy. The massacre began at 10:47 local time on a Tuesday morning that had started like any other. The aliens moved through New Haven colony like a plague, their weapons cutting down anyone who tried to flee or fight back. They showed no mercy, no hesitation, no sign that they considered humans to be anything more than obstacles to be removed. Mrs. Patterson died defending her bakery. Dr. Kim fell while trying to reach wounded civilians. Teachers died shielding their students. Parents died protecting their children. The aliens killed them all with the same cold efficiency they might use to clear weeds from a garden. By noon, New Haven colony was silent except for the crackling of burning buildings. 12,000 human lives had been extinguished in less than 2 hours. The aliens spent another hour systematically destroying every human structure, every piece of technology, every trace that humanity had ever existed on Kepler 442b. Then, they returned to their ships and departed, leaving behind only ash and death. Tom Rodriguez survived by hiding in a drainage tunnel beneath the settlement. He remained there for 3 days, listening to the silence above, before finally emerging to find himself alone among the dead. His emergency beacon had transmitted continuously, sending humanity's last message from New Haven colony into the void. The signal reached the nearest human outpost 6 days later. Within hours, it was being broadcast across all human space, carrying news that would change the course of galactic history. Humanity had been peaceful in their expansion among the stars. They had avoided conflict, sought cooperation, and respected the territories of other species they encountered. New Haven colony represented everything good about human exploration, hope, determination, and the dream of building something better. Now the dream lay in ashes, and 12,000 innocent people were dead. On Earth, in the halls of the United Colonies government, emergency sessions convened. In orbital shipyards around 100 worlds, construction crews began working around the clock. Across human space, from the core worlds to the frontier settlements, a single message spread like wildfire. The aliens had made a mistake. They had shown humanity exactly what they were capable of, and they had done it to innocent people who posed no threat to anyone. They had awakened something in humanity that had slept during the peaceful years of expansion. They had reminded the human species of what they were truly capable of when their families were threatened. Earth's military command had spent decades preparing for the possibility of hostile alien contact. They had built ships, trained crews, and developed weapons that they hoped never to use. The death of New Haven colony ended that hope. Within 72 hours of Tom Rodriguez's beacon reaching human space, orders went out to every military installation, every shipyard, and every colonial defense force. The largest military mobilization in human history began with a simple message: remember New Haven. The aliens who had destroyed the colony were about to learn why humanity had conquered their own world before reaching for the stars. They were about to discover that the peaceful farmers and teachers of New Haven colony represented only one face of the human species. Soon, they would meet the other face. Admiral Elena Vasquez stood before the massive holographic display in the war room deep beneath the Lunar Military Command. The three-dimensional map showed the entire human sphere of influence, with red markers indicating the locations of military fleets, shipyards, and defensive installations. At the edge of the display, a single pulsing orange dot marked the location of New Haven colony. Elena had served humanity's military forces for 37 years, rising through the ranks during the peaceful expansion era. She had overseen the construction of defensive fleets, negotiated with alien species for mining rights, and managed the delicate balance of protecting human interests while maintaining galactic peace. She had never expected to plan for war. "Give me the full tactical analysis," she ordered the assembled officers. Colonel James Park, head of intelligence, stepped forward. The attackers appear to be a previously unknown species. Our xenobiology experts have analyzed the scanner data from Tom Rodriguez's emergency beacon. The aliens are roughly humanoid but significantly taller, with elongated skulls suggesting large brain capacity. Their technology appears to be energy-based, using directed plasma weapons and gravitational manipulation for propulsion. "Ship analysis?" Elena asked. 3 vessels, each approximately 800 meters in length. No visible weapon ports, suggesting the weapons are retractable or concealed. The hull material appears to absorb most electromagnetic radiation, making them difficult to detect at long range. Estimated crew complement of 300 per vessel. Elena studied the data with growing concern. Less than 1,000 individuals wiped out 12,000 civilians. What's their combat assessment? Advanced but not overwhelming, Park replied. Their weapons appear limited to line-of-sight engagement. No orbital bombardment capability was observed. They relied on ground forces for the actual assault, which suggests either technological limitations or a preference for direct engagement. Or they wanted to see what they were killing, Elena said grimly. What about their point of origin? Lieutenant Commander Sarah Okafor, the fleet's xenogeology specialist, activated a new section of the hologram. Based on the trajectory data from our deep space monitoring stations, the ships approached from the direction of the Vega system. However, our long-range surveys of that region show no signs of technological civilization. Could they be nomadic? Elena asked. Possible. More likely they have technology we can't detect from this distance, or they're based on worlds we haven't surveyed yet. The attack on New Haven appears to have been deliberate and planned. They knew exactly what they were targeting. Elena felt a cold anger building in her chest. The loss of New Haven wasn't just a military disaster, it was a personal tragedy for every human who had dreamed of the stars. These colonists had been her people, under her protection, and she had failed them. Resource assessment, she demanded. Admiral Chen Wei, head of fleet operations, stepped forward with a grim smile. We have 63,000 combat vessels currently operational across all fleets. Another 12,000 under construction in various stages of completion. Total crew complement of approximately 800 million personnel. The numbers hung in the air like a promise of retribution. Humanity had spent the peaceful decades building not just colonies, but the largest military force in the known galaxy. They had told themselves it was for defense, for protection against unknown threats. Now that threat had revealed itself. I want every available ship ready for deployment within 30 days, Elena ordered. Start with the 1st through 20th fleets. Pull back all deep space patrol vessels. Recall the exploration groups from the far sectors. If it has guns and can fly, I want it armed and ready. Admiral, Colonel Park interrupted carefully, that's nearly 20,000 ships for the initial wave alone. Against 3 vessels that destroyed 1 civilian target. Elena's expression didn't change. Colonel, those 3 vessels murdered 12,000 innocent people, including children. They attacked without warning, without provocation, and without mercy. The size of our response will ensure this never happens again. The room fell silent. Every officer present understood what they were witnessing, the end of humanity's peaceful expansion era and the beginning of something much darker. What about diplomatic contact? Admiral Chen asked. Standard first contact protocols suggest they established contact, Elena cut him off. With plasma weapons. They made their diplomatic position very clear when they opened fire on Administrator Chen. We're responding in kind. Over the next 72 hours, the largest military mobilization in human history began. On Earth's orbital stations, automated construction systems worked around the clock to complete unfinished warships. Throughout human space, reserve crews reported to their assignments, many of them veterans of the colonial defense forces who had trained for decades hoping never to see real combat. The response wasn't limited to the military. Civilian shipyards were converted to military production. Mining operations were redirected to provide materials for weapons and armor. Research stations began working on new technologies specifically designed for the coming conflict. Most importantly, intelligence gathering operations launched immediately. Long-range scout ships departed for the Vega region and, beyond, tasked with locating the aliens' base of operations. Deep space monitoring stations increased their scanning range and frequency. Diplomatic channels with friendly alien species were activated to gather any available information about the unknown attackers. The first breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Captain Lisa Torres, commanding the science vessel Curiosity in the Altair system, detected unusual energy signatures on the edge of her scanner range. When she investigated, she found the wreckage of what appeared to be a space station of unknown design. The debris field is approximately 6 hours old, Torres reported to Lunar Command. Whatever attacked this place used the same energy signatures we detected at New Haven. The station appears to have been inhabited by a silicon-based species we've never encountered before. Elena studied the data from Torres's discovery with growing understanding. The attack on New Haven hadn't been an isolated incident. These aliens were moving through this region of space, systematically destroying anyone they encountered. Any survivors? Elena asked. Negative. Complete destruction of all facilities and life signs. The attackers were thorough. Pattern analysis, Elena ordered her staff. The holographic display updated to show the projected path of the alien fleet. Based on the timing of the two attacks and the distance between them, the aliens were moving at a steady pace through human-claimed space, following what appeared to be a predetermined route. They're not exploring, Admiral Chen realized. They're clearing a path. For what? Elena asked. Unknown. Could be an invasion route, a supply line, or simply a migration pattern. But they're definitely following a specific plan. Elena made her decision. Double our mobilization schedule. I want 40,000 ships ready within 2 weeks instead of a month. And I want our fastest scout ships tracking their projected route. If they're following a pattern, we need to know where they're going next. The scout reports came back within days, each one confirming Elena's worst fears. The aliens were indeed following a pattern, moving from system to system and destroying everything they found. They had hit a mining station in the Ross 128 system, a research outpost near Wolf 359, and a small trading post in the Alpha Centauri region. Each attack followed the same methodology: sudden arrival, systematic destruction of all life and technology, complete departure. No communication attempts, no survivors, no explanations. They're treating inhabited systems like obstacles to be cleared, Colonel Park reported. This isn't conquest or colonization. It's extermination. Elena stared at the tactical display, watching as red X marks appeared over each destroyed location. 23,000 human lives lost in just 2 weeks, along with an unknown number of other species who had made the mistake of being in the aliens' path. Estimated time to their next target, she asked. Based on current patterns, they should reach the Proxima Station in approximately 4 days. Proxima Station was home to 50,000 people and served as a major hub for the outer colonies. It was also the location of the 4th Fleet's regional headquarters, with nearly 800 combat vessels stationed there. Perfect, Elena said with a cold smile. Send orders to Admiral Rodriguez at Proxima Station. Tell him he's about to have visitors, and this time we'll be ready for them. The aliens had made their intentions clear through their actions. They had shown humanity exactly what they thought of other intelligent species. They had demonstrated their military capabilities and their complete lack of interest in peaceful coexistence. Now it was humanity's turn to demonstrate what they were capable of. The trap was set. In 4 days, the aliens would arrive at Proxima Station expecting another easy target. Instead, they would find the combined firepower of 800 human warships waiting for them. The message would be clear: humanity protected its own, and the price for touching human lives was about to become very, very high. Admiral Marcus Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the battleship Retribution, watching the tactical displays that showed 800 human warships arranged in perfect formation around Proxima Station. His fleet had been preparing for 3 days, and every ship captain knew their role in what was about to unfold. Marcus was the younger brother of Town Rodriguez, the sole survivor of New Haven Colony. When he had received the deployment orders, he had requested permission to lead the response personally. Admiral Vasquez had agreed immediately, understanding that this battle would be as much about justice as strategy. All ships report ready status, Commander Sarah Kim announced from her position at the tactical station. Civilian evacuation completed 6 hours ago. Station personnel reduced to essential military staff only. The evacuation had been a massive undertaking. 50,000 civilians had been moved to safety aboard transport ships that were now positioned well outside the combat zone. Only military personnel remained, volunteer crews who had insisted on staying to operate the station's weapons systems and support facilities. Enemy contact in approximately 90 minutes, the sensor operator reported. 3 vessels, same configuration as previous attacks, approaching on predicted vector. Marcus nodded grimly. The aliens were following their pattern exactly, approaching Proxima Station with the same confidence they had shown at every previous target. They had no idea what was waiting for them. The human fleet was arranged in 3 defensive layers around the station. The outer perimeter consisted of fast attack craft and destroyers, designed to harass the enemy and gather tactical data. The middle layer contained heavy cruisers and battleships with the primary firepower to engage the alien vessels directly. The inner layer protected the station itself with point defense systems and the most heavily armored ships in the fleet. Signal from Earth Command, the communications officer announced. Admiral Vasquez sends her regards and reminds us that 60,000 people are watching our tactical feeds. Marcus smiled grimly. The entire human military was indeed watching this engagement, studying every detail for future reference. This would be humanity's first major combat action against an alien species, and the lessons learned here would shape military doctrine for generations to come. All ships, this is Admiral Rodriguez, he broadcast on the fleet-wide channel. In 90 minutes, we will face the aliens who murdered the innocent people of New Haven Colony. They have shown us what they think of human life. Today we show them what we think of alien murderers. Make every shot count. The final preparations proceeded with mechanical precision. Weapons systems were charged and verified. Shield generators were tested at maximum power. Fighter squadrons completed their pre-flight checks and launched to take up positions around their carrier ships. Marcus found himself thinking about his brother Tom, alone in that drainage tunnel while 12,000 people died above him. The guilt Tom carried was visible every time Marcus spoke with him over the communication links. Tom blamed himself for not being able to save them, for hiding while others died. Today would be for Tom, and for Sarah Chen, and for Mrs. Patterson and Dr. Kim and all the others whose only crime had been believing in humanity's peaceful expansion among the stars. Contact, the sensor operator announced suddenly. 3 vessels dropping out of FTL at the system's edge, exactly where predicted. The tactical display updated to show 3 angular shapes moving toward Proxima Station with the same confidence they had displayed at every previous target. Their approach was direct and unhurried, suggesting they expected no resistance. Begin Phase 1, Marcus ordered. The outer perimeter of human ships powered up their engines but remained hidden behind the electromagnetic interference generated by the station's industrial facilities. To alien sensors, Proxima Station would appear to be just another undefended target. The alien ships approached for 30 minutes before the first human vessel revealed itself. The destroyer Phoenix dropped its stealth profile and broadcast a message on all frequencies: unknown vessels, you are entering human territory. Identify yourselves immediately or withdraw. The alien response was identical to every previous encounter: no communication, no acknowledgement, no hesitation. They opened fire with their plasma weapons, targeting the Phoenix with coordinated precision. But, this time, their target was ready. The Phoenix's shields absorbed the initial barrage while the destroyer's point defense systems engaged the incoming plasma bolts. Return fire from the Phoenix's main gun struck the leading alien vessel, causing visible damage to its hull. Phase 2, Marcus ordered. Suddenly, space around the alien ships filled with human vessels as the outer perimeter dropped their concealment. 200 destroyers and attack craft opened fire simultaneously, surrounding the aliens in a sphere of weapons fire. The aliens adapted quickly, their ships maneuvering with impressive agility while their weapons tracked multiple targets. Their plasma weapons were devastatingly effective, destroying several human ships with direct hits. But they were outnumbered 60-1, and human weapons were proving capable of damaging their previously invulnerable hulls. Enemy vessels attempting to break engagement, the sensor operator reported. They're trying to reach minimum FTL distance. Phase 3, Marcus commanded with grim satisfaction. The middle layer of the fleet revealed itself as heavy cruisers and battleships dropped their concealment and opened fire with their main weapons. Massive particle beams and plasma cannons reached across space, striking the alien vessels with enough force to crack continents. The leading alien ship staggered under the combined firepower, its hull breached in multiple locations. For the first time in their encounters with these aliens, human weapons were proving superior in direct combat. But the aliens weren't finished. The damaged ship suddenly accelerated directly toward Proxima Station, apparently intending to ram the facility in a final attack. All inner perimeter vessels, intercept course, Marcus ordered. Do not let them reach the station. The battleship Vengeance, commanded by Captain Elena Torres, positioned herself directly in the alien ship's path. Her shields flared as the alien vessel's plasma weapons concentrated their fire on her, trying to clear the way for their ramming attack. Vengeance reports shield failure in 30 seconds, Commander Kim announced. All ships, concentrate fire on the damaged vessel, Marcus ordered.
Bring it down now. 800 human warships focused their weapons on a single target.
The combined firepower was beyond anything previously imagined in galactic warfare.
The alien ship simply disintegrated under the assault, its hull vaporizing in a flash of superheated plasma.
The two remaining alien vessels immediately changed tactics, abandoning their attack on the station and attempting to escape. But they were deep within the human formation, surrounded by hostile ships on all sides. "They're trying to communicate," the communications officer announced suddenly.
"Receiving signals on multiple frequencies."
"Put it through," Marcus ordered. The bridge speakers filled with sounds unlike anything in human experience. The alien language was a complex mixture of tones and harmonics that human vocal cords could never produce. But the computer's translation systems had been analyzing the signals, and text began appearing on the displays.
Surrender. Negotiation. Peaceful withdrawal. Compensation for losses.
Marcus felt a cold fury building in his chest.
Now they wanted to talk. Now they wanted peace. After murdering 23,000 innocent people across 6 systems, now they were interested in diplomacy. "Send response on all frequencies," he ordered. Message reads, "New Haven Colony sends its regards."
The human fleet opened fire again, and the remaining alien vessels died in the cold vacuum of space. The battle lasted 4 hours from first contact to final shot, and, when it ended, humanity had achieved total victory. But the victory felt hollow as Marcus studied the casualty reports. 47 human ships had been destroyed, with nearly 6,000 crew members killed or wounded. The aliens had proven to be formidable opponents even when outnumbered, and their technology was more advanced than human intelligence had estimated. "Sir," Commander Kim approached with a datapad.
"Preliminary analysis of the alien wreckage shows some interesting findings."
Marcus reviewed the report with growing understanding. The alien ships contained sophisticated navigation equipment that had recorded their previous targets. More importantly, the equipment contained star charts showing their intended route through human space. They were planning to hit 17 more systems, Marcus realized.
Including Earth.
The alien route would have taken them through the heart of human civilization, destroying colonies and stations that housed millions of people. New Haven Colony hadn't been a random target, it had been the first step in a systematic campaign of extermination. "There's more," Commander Kim continued.
"The navigation data shows their point of origin."
"These ships came from a base approximately 200 light-years from Earth, in a system we've designated as Kepler 720. Marcus stared at the star charts with growing determination. The aliens had bases, infrastructure, and, quite possibly more ships like the ones they had just destroyed.
The threat to humanity was far from eliminated.
"Send full tactical analysis and alien navigation data to Earth Command immediately," he ordered. "Include recommendation for immediate deep reconnaissance of the Kepler 720 system." As the human fleet began recovery operations and damage assessment, Marcus composed a personal message to his brother Tom, still recovering on Earth from his ordeal at New Haven Colony. "Tom," he began, "today we made them pay for New Haven.
But this is just the beginning.
The data we captured shows they were planning to hit 17 more colonies, including Earth itself. We stopped them here, but there are more of them out there." The victory at Proxima Station had proven that human military technology could compete with the aliens when properly deployed. But it had also revealed the true scale of the threat humanity faced. These weren't random raiders or explorers, they were part of a larger force with specific goals and advanced technology. The war that began with the destruction of New Haven Colony was far from over. In fact, it had barely begun.
But humanity now knew they could fight these aliens and win.
More importantly, they knew where the aliens came from.
The next phase of human response would not be defensive.
It would be retribution on a scale the galaxy had never seen. The Sol system had never seen anything like it. Every orbital shipyard from Mercury's industrial platforms to the massive construction facilities around Jupiter worked at maximum capacity, their automated systems and human crews laboring without rest to complete the largest military buildup in human history.
Admiral Elena Vasquez stood in the observation deck of the Luna command station, watching as the newly completed warships formed into vast formations that stretched across space like metallic constellations.
Each day brought thousands more vessels to the assembly point, creating a fleet so massive that traffic control had become a logistical nightmare. Final count, Admiral, reported Captain David Chen, her new chief of staff. 60,237 combat vessels ready for deployment. Total crew complement of 912 million personnel. Elena absorbed the numbers with grim satisfaction. Humanity had emptied its reserves, recalled every ship from patrol duty, and converted civilian vessels to military use. They had also accelerated production schedules that would have normally taken decades to complete. What about the new technologies? She asked. Full deployment across all primary vessels, Chen replied. Enhanced plasma cannons based on captured alien technology, improved shield systems, and the new quantum torpedoes that can track targets through FTL jumps. The technological advances had come rapidly once human scientists gained access to alien wreckage from the Battle of Proxima Station. Human engineering had always excelled at reverse engineering captured technology and improving upon it. The weapons systems now being installed on the fleet were significantly more powerful than anything humanity had possessed just 3 months ago. But technology wasn't the only thing that had changed. The discovery of the aliens' planned route through human space had triggered a psychological transformation across all of human civilization. The peaceful expansion era was over, replaced by a grim determination that these aliens would never again threaten human lives. Intelligence update from the reconnaissance missions? Elena asked. Captain Chen activated the holographic display, showing a 3-dimensional map of the Kepler 720 system. Long-range scouts have confirmed the alien base is located on the 4th planet. Estimated population of 15 million, with approximately 3,000 vessels of various sizes. The planet appears to be heavily fortified with orbital defense platforms. Elena studied the tactical data with professional interest. The aliens had built an impressive military installation, but they had made one crucial mistake: they had allowed human scouts to observe their capabilities without detecting the surveillance. Any indication they know we're coming? She asked. None. Their patrol patterns haven't changed, and no additional ships have been deployed to defensive positions. They appear to believe the 3 ships they sent to human space were sufficient for their purposes. The aliens' arrogance would be their downfall. They had murdered 23,000 innocent people and, then, returned to their base assuming no retaliation would follow. They had underestimated humanity's capacity for both industrial production and righteous anger. Fleet deployment schedule? Elena inquired. First wave of 20,000 ships departs tomorrow, led by Admiral Rodriguez aboard the Retribution. Second wave of 20,000 ships follows 72 hours later. Third wave of 20,000 ships brings up the rear with supply vessels and support craft. Elena nodded approvingly. The staggered deployment would ensure that fresh ships were always arriving at the target system while early arrivals established tactical superiority. The aliens would face wave after wave of human vessels until their defenses were completely overwhelmed. What about the diplomatic corps? Elena asked with bitter irony. Any final attempts at peaceful resolution? The Galactic Council has issued several statements calling for restraint and negotiation, Chen replied. They've offered to mediate talks between humanity and the unknown species. Send the standard response, Elena ordered. Humanity will be happy to negotiate with the aliens immediately after they resurrect the 23,000 people they murdered. The Galactic Council represented dozens of species that had achieved interstellar travel and maintained peaceful relationships with each other. They had watched humanity's expansion with approval, seeing humans as a stabilizing influence who preferred trade and cooperation to conquest. Now they were witnessing humanity's other face, the one that had conquered Earth through thousands of years of warfare before reaching for the stars. The same species that had built beautiful colonies like New Haven could also build the largest military fleet in galactic history when their people were threatened. Sir, the communications officer announced, incoming message from Admiral Rodriguez. The first wave is ready for departure. Elena activated the fleet-wide communication system, connecting her voice to every ship in the massive formation. 900 million people listened as she spoke, their commanding officer preparing them for the largest military operation in human history. People of Earth and all human colonies, she began, 3 months ago, aliens arrived at New Haven Colony and murdered 12,000 innocent people. They did this without warning, without provocation, and without mercy. They then continued through our space, killing thousands more at 6 additional locations. The communication channels remained silent as Elena's words reached every corner of human space. Today we respond. Not with words or diplomatic protests, but with the overwhelming might of human military power. We go to their home system not as conquerors but as the instruments of justice for our fallen citizens. Elena paused, thinking of Sarah Chan and all the others who had died believing in humanity's peaceful future among the stars. To the aliens who thought they could murder humans without consequence, you are about to learn why our species survived on a world of predators long enough to reach space. To our own people throughout human space, your military stands ready to ensure this never happens again. The communication ended, and Elena watched as the first wave of the fleet began moving toward the jump points that would carry them to alien space. 20,000 warships disappeared into FTL one by one, their hulls gleaming in the light of Sol as they departed on humanity's first interstellar war. The journey to Kepler 720 would take 18 days at maximum FTL speed. During that time, the aliens would continue their normal routines, unaware that the largest military force in galactic history was approaching their home system with explicit orders to destroy every ship and orbital installation they possessed. But Elena had other concerns beyond the immediate military operation. Intelligence reports suggested that the aliens' base at Kepler 720 might not be their only installation. The star charts recovered from Proxima Station showed references to other systems, other facilities that might house additional alien forces. Captain Chen, she ordered, prepare deployment orders for the reserve fleets. If Kepler 720 is just one base among many, we need to be ready to expand operations immediately.
Yes, Admiral. What about the construction programs? Continue at maximum capacity.
I want another 60,000 ships completed within 6 months. If we're at war with these aliens, we're going to win it completely. Elena returned to studying the tactical displays, already planning the next phase of operations. The attack on Kepler 720 would send a clear message to any other hostile species in the galaxy: humanity protected its own with overwhelming force. But it would also mark a fundamental change in humanity's relationship with the rest of the galaxy.
The peaceful expansion era was over. The age of human military dominance was about to begin.
Deep in the command bunkers of Earth, military strategists were already developing plans for the post-war galaxy. Human colonies would be protected by permanent military installations.
Human trade routes would be patrolled by armed fleets.
And any species that threatened human lives would face immediate and devastating retaliation. The aliens who had destroyed New Haven Colony had intended to clear a path through human space for their own purposes. Instead, they had awakened something in humanity that would reshape the balance of power among the stars. In 18 days, they would begin to understand the magnitude of their mistake. The first wave of humanity's revenge fleet jumped to FTL, carrying with them the combined fury of a species that had been pushed too far. Behind them, 60,000 more ships waited for their turn to join the largest military operation in galactic history. The aliens had wanted to clear human space of human presence. Soon, they would discover that human space was about to expand significantly, and it would be their space that got cleared instead. The Kepler 720 system had known peace for 3,000 years. The Zilani species had built their civilization slowly and methodically, expanding from their homeworld to the moons and asteroid belts throughout their system. They had developed faster than light travel only recently in their history, and their exploration of nearby star systems had been limited and cautious. Until they discovered the younger species spreading through what they considered their rightful territory. High Commander Vexstar stood in the central command chamber of Orbital Defense Station Prime, reviewing reports from the exploration fleets that had been systematically clearing the primitive civilizations from nearby systems. The mission had been proceeding exactly as planned until the incident at the station the younger species called Proxima.
Status report on Fleet Group 7, Vexstar commanded. Subcommander Killinas consulted his data displays with growing concern. No contact for 15 standard cycles. All communication attempts have failed.
They were scheduled to complete the clearing operation at the primitive station and return for resupply.
Vexstar felt a minor irritation at the inefficiency.
Fleet Group 7 had consisted of 3 heavy assault vessels, more than sufficient to destroy any installation the primitive species possessed. Their failure to report was unprecedented in the entire clearing campaign. Deploy Fleet Group 12 to investigate, he ordered.
If the primitives have somehow damaged our vessels, they must be eliminated with greater force.
The Zilani had encountered hundreds of species during their 3 millennia of civilization. Most were eliminated as soon as they developed space travel, before they could become a threat to Zilani dominance.
The few that were allowed to survive served as slaves or food sources, depending on their biological compatibility. The bipedal species they had been clearing from this region showed promise as laborers once their rebellious nature was properly suppressed. After the clearing operations were complete, breeding programs could be established to produce a useful slave population.
Sir, communications specialist Torval interrupted urgently, massive gravitational disturbances detected at the system's edge.
Multiple contacts dropping out of FTL drive.
Vexstar moved to the primary sensor display, expecting to see the return of Fleet Group 12. Instead, the tactical screen showed something impossible: thousands of contacts, all of them unknown vessel configurations, arranged in perfect military formation.
Sensor analysis, he demanded. Approximately 20,000 vessels, classification unknown. Hull configurations suggest heavy military construction. Energy signatures indicate powered weapon systems.
Torval's voice carried the first hints of alarm. Sir, they're broadcasting on multiple frequencies.
Translation protocols, Vexstar ordered, his mind struggling to process the implications of 20,000 hostile vessels appearing in Zolani space.
The translation systems had been analyzing the primitive species' communications for months during the clearing operations.
The computer's interpretation appeared on the display: Zolani forces, you are responsible for the murder of 23,000 human civilians. Surrender immediately or face total destruction.
Vexstar stared at the message with growing disbelief. The primitive species had somehow tracked the clearing fleets back to their source and assembled a military response. But 20,000 vessels was impossible. Their intelligence indicated the primitives possessed no more than a few hundred combat ships throughout their entire civilization.
Activate all orbital defense platforms, he commanded.
Deploy all fleet elements to defensive positions. Send priority alerts to all system installations.
The Zolani home system contained the greatest concentration of military power in their empire's history.
3,000 vessels of various classes, 50 orbital defense platforms, and ground-based weapon installations capable of destroying anything that approached their homeworld. No force in the galaxy could challenge Zolani military supremacy in their own system. The human fleet moved into the system with methodical precision, their ships maintaining formation while advancing toward the primary planet.
Admiral Rodriguez, aboard the Retribution, studied the alien dispositions with professional interest. Tactical assessment, he ordered.
50 orbital defense platforms, each approximately the size of a heavy cruiser.
3,000 mobile vessels ranging from destroyer to dreadnought class.
Estimated total firepower equivalent to approximately 12,000 human vessels.
Rodriguez nodded grimly.
The aliens had significant military assets, but they were outnumbered 5-1 by the first wave alone. With two more waves of 20,000 ships each still approaching, the mathematical outcome was inevitable.
They're attempting to communicate, the communications officer reported. Put them through, Rodriguez ordered.
The bridge speakers filled with the alien language they had first heard at Proxima Station, but this time the translation was immediate: unknown fleet, you are in violation of Zolani territorial space.
Withdraw immediately or face destruction.
Rodriguez felt the same cold fury that had sustained him during the long journey from human space. These aliens had murdered innocent civilians and now demanded that their victims' families retreat from justice.
Send response, he ordered. Message reads: New Haven Colony. Proxima Mining Station.
Ross 128 Outpost.
Alpha Centauri Trading Post. Wolf 359 Research Facility. Kepler 186 Agricultural Station. Remember their names, because they are why you die today. The first shots were fired by an alien orbital platform that targeted the lead human destroyer.
The plasma bolt struck the ship's shields and dissipated harmlessly, absorbed by defensive systems that had been specifically designed to counter alien weapon technology.
All ships, Rodriguez broadcast, engage at will. Remember New Haven. 20,000 human warships opened fire simultaneously.
The initial barrage was beyond anything previously imagined in galactic warfare. Quantum torpedoes crossed space at near-light speed, guided by targeting systems that could track individual vessels through the chaos of battle. Enhanced plasma cannons fired continuously, their improved power systems allowing sustained bombardment that could crack planetary crusts. The alien defense platforms died first, their shields overwhelmed by concentrated fire from multiple human vessels. The destruction of the platforms cleared the way for the human fleet to engage the mobile alien forces directly. Vexstar watched in horror as his defenses disintegrated under the sustained assault.
Zilani ships that had dominated this region of space for millennia were being destroyed faster than his sensors could track. The primitive species had somehow developed weapons technology that exceeded anything in the Zilani arsenal.
All ships, fall back to secondary defensive positions, he ordered.
Request immediate reinforcement from all border fleets.
But there would be no reinforcements. The human fleet had positioned ships at every FTL jump point in the system, preventing escape or the arrival of additional alien forces.
The battle was taking place in a closed arena where numerical superiority would determine the outcome.
The fighting continued for 6 hours, but the result was never in doubt. 3,000 alien vessels faced 20,000 human ships equipped with technology specifically designed to counter their weapons and defenses. One by one, the alien ships were hunted down and destroyed until space around the primary planet was filled with debris and the expanding gases of vaporized hulls.
Vexstar's command station was among the last alien installations to fall.
As human ships surrounded the facility and prepared for the final assault, he activated the station's self-destruct sequence rather than face capture. But the destruction of the military forces was only the beginning of humanity's response. Admiral Rodriguez established orbital command as the second and third waves of the human fleet arrived at Kepler 720. 60,000 ships now controlled the system completely, their sensors mapping every installation and facility the aliens had built.
Surface scan complete, the tactical officer reported. 15 million alien civilians confirmed on the primary planet.
Multiple industrial facilities, shipyards, and military training centers.
Rodriguez studied the data with the same methodical approach he had used during the space battle.
The aliens had built an impressive civilization, but they had made the fatal mistake of believing they could murder humans without consequence. Deploy orbital bombardment platforms, he ordered. Target all shipyards, military facilities, and industrial centers. Leave civilian population centers intact but monitor for any signs of military activity. The bombardment began at dawn on the alien homeworld, precisely targeted strikes that eliminated every facility capable of producing or maintaining military vessels. Shipyards that had built the fleets responsible for the clearing operations were reduced to molten metal. Training facilities where alien crews had learned to operate their weapons were vaporized by quantum torpedo strikes. When the bombardment ended 12 hours later, the alien homeworld retained its population but had been reduced to a pre-industrial society incapable of threatening anyone beyond their own planet. Message to Earth Command, Rodriguez dictated. Kepler 720 system secured. All alien military assets destroyed. Civilian population intact but neutralized. Recommend establishing permanent human presence to prevent rebuilding. But Rodriguez had one more task to complete before the operation could be considered finished.
Tom Rodriguez, sole survivor of New Haven Colony, had requested permission to address the alien population directly.
The request had been approved by Admiral Vasquez herself. The message was broadcast on all frequencies to every communication device on the alien planet. Tom Rodriguez appeared on their screens, standing in the ruins of what had been New Haven Colony. I am Tom Rodriguez, he began, his voice carrying across light years to reach the aliens who had destroyed his world. I am the only survivor of New Haven Colony, where your people murdered 12,000 innocent human beings. The alien population listened in their own language as translation systems conveyed Tom's words. You killed farmers and teachers and children. You killed people who had never harmed anyone, who came to this region of space seeking only to build new lives among the stars. You killed them because you believed you were superior, because you thought no one would hold you accountable. Tom gestured to the burned ruins around him, the remains of dreams that had traveled 47 light-years only to be extinguished by alien arrogance. You were wrong. Today, 60,000 human warships destroyed everything you built that could threaten other innocent people. Your military is gone. Your ships are destroyed. Your weapons are melted slag. The message continued for several minutes, explaining exactly what the aliens had brought upon themselves and ensuring they understood the connection between their actions and the consequences they now faced. You will rebuild, Tom concluded, but you will do so knowing that humanity watches everything you do. If you ever again raise weapons against innocent people, if you ever again believe that murder goes unpunished, we will return. And, next time, we will not leave survivors. The human fleet remained in the Kepler 720 system for 3 months, establishing monitoring stations and defensive platforms that would ensure the aliens never again posed a threat to human space. When Admiral Rodriguez finally gave the order to depart, he left behind a clear message that would resonate throughout the galaxy. Humanity had shown two faces to the stars: the peaceful colonists of New Haven and the vengeful fleets of Earth. Any species that chose to see only one face would inevitably encounter the other. The age of human expansion would continue, but it would proceed under the protection of the largest military force in galactic history. The innocent people of future colonies would sleep safely, knowing that 60,000 ships stood ready to avenge any attack upon human lives. The aliens had wanted to clear human space for their own use. Instead, they had ensured that human space would be defended by overwhelming force for generations to come. New Haven colony was gone, but its memory would protect every human settlement among the stars.